today we're going to be discussing the power of incremental changes, which often gets, I would think, ignored in favor of big and sweeping innovation. And who could be better than the CEO of Liwa Trading Enterprises, who's joining us at RetailME TV today to discuss what Liwa has been up to. They are gearing up for launch of new brands. They also have a lot of tech-based transformation plans in store. Welcome to RetailME TV, Mark. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Pleasure, Catherine. Nice to see you. It's been a while.
In a while.
Lovely to see you. Good to see you.
Staying with incremental changes versus sweeping changes, you seem to be steering a lot of changes silently and over the years. Which is, we see the results from time to time.
Sure.
Now you're gearing up for bigger changes.
Yep.
But Mark, allow me to start with this question of, did you know some of these changes would be risky and you still went ahead with it because you thought it would change Liwa's growth path eventually?
Well, you know what retail's like. It's rapidly changing and evolving. So you've kind of always got to change something because otherwise you're never going to grow. So, and I think historically, if you have a franchise business, some franchises, well, all businesses go through ups and downs. And if you're a franchisor or franchisee relationship, you know, sometimes your franchisors are strong, sometimes they're weaker. They have good years, bad years, and you have to respond accordingly. So I think in our mix, you kind of have to have a basket of things to offset some incremental growth, obviously, when you've got some of your partners that are not doing so well. So we're always cognizant of that and trying to work out what the best mix is, keeping a very careful eye on the sectors that we've got in which we operate and whether we should move in slightly different directions. So doing some market analysis, trying to read what the trends are likely to be, and then reacting accordingly. And then I think the other interesting thing is we've got our own label. So we've got our own labels, should I say. And that's a whole different ballgame because the only person you can look at is yourselves, and you've got to make sure that you're obviously doing your right things internally.
Yes. Yes, and talking about new sectors, talking about private label, you've done so well on the private label front.
Yeah, we are.
With your homegrown brands. You're getting into a new sector.
Yes, a couple actually.
Yes. Would you like to touch upon those?
Yeah, sure.
plans?
So we've never really done beauty. And we've been looking at it for a very long time, or beauty or self-care and so on and so forth. So we've signed a deal with Panier d'Essence from Provence in the south of France, which is a new venture for us.
Yes.
We're really excited about it. But not only is it a retail physical space deal, it's a wholesale distribution and an e-commerce deal. So now we're trying to do these deals where you've got multiple channels with which we can operate, and I think that's going to be quite exciting in terms of we'll open our first store in the middle of November. And we'll launch e-commerce at the same. We'll launch e-commerce at the same time, and then we've obviously got a network of distribution to get after, and all the other channels. So that's really exciting. New sector for us. You have to do things differently. Operations in stores are different. Marketing's different. E-com's obviously different.
Yeah, I remember the time we discussed how store sizes are becoming smaller and store space is being utilized differently, and this was pre-COVID. I see all those things happening and you're literally unfolding as you speak.
Yeah.
And retail has faced some volatile times. There's it still is volatile because of global dynamics, because of supply chain issues. Also intensifying competition in every segment. We see new brands coming up, new concepts emerging every other day. Before I get into Liwa's plans for 2025, do you think, with your rich experience, do you think there is space even for more brands coming into the UAE market, some of the other GCC markets? Do you expect more consolidation?
market size critical.
Yeah.
Because the key question sometimes is the pie getting any bigger?
Yes.
Is the market by capita actually getting bigger? If it's not, then the market share has just been divided up in a different way. I think the market is getting bigger. And if you look at around the GCC countries, all the governments are really looking for population growth. How can they attract more people to the region to live, work, set up businesses here? So you've got to really appreciate the fiscal policies of the government here in UAE, because everything they're doing is trying to get more people to come here, and businesses in particular. That will grow the market. If that grows the market, there's always room. There's always room. But then the trick within the sectors is, to make sure you're in the right one, because the market dynamics are obviously changing. We know that mid to premium's done very well in the last 18 to 24 months. And it's the middle sector that might be a little bit tougher. So
you see that within your brands as well?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, we do. And we see that because of where the revenue and the returns come from. So we've got a few brands that are, they're pretty promotional, but they've done really well, pro rata to everything else. And then we've taken this decision to go into the mid to premium sector. So, but a very unusual deal, because we've done a joint venture with a manufacturer from the Far East. They already have a brand that they're trading in London, very successful, but it's mid to premium.
Okay.
So it's called L'Essentiel. So it's a cashmere business, but it's like cashmere linen, cashmere cotton.
Okay.
So everyone says, well, cashmere, how are you going to sell cashmere in the Middle East? Well, 85% of their customers in London are from the Middle East. So we kind of already know that. So, but that puts us in a sector where we've never been before. And the difference is it's a direct relationship with the manufacturer. There's nobody in the middle.
Right.
And that's an exciting change for us. And we're now pursuing 2 or 3 other deals that are very similar to that, because it means there's more margin. So that means actually mid to premium, we can offer for amazing value for superb quality products. So we don't have to be charging what you'd expect, it's in some of these luxury brands. So Loro Piana prices, some of the product is better than Loro Piana in fabrication, but it'll be nowhere near those prices. So an interesting foray into that market for us.
Absolutely. So many new things coming up within your portfolio. It just kind of makes me think once again, do you ever pull back because you feel as if the risk is too high?
Yes.
And you take your time to, do fact checking and looking at ground reality, spending that time to, put all your Lego blocks together. And
sure. So I'm very fortunate that we have a very, very supportive Chem, and he likes his retail business. We make mistakes like everybody. We choose brands that just don't work, and you have to be prepared to make mistakes, not succeed, learn from those mistakes, and then try something else. But the old 80-20 rule is a very real thing. You've got to have that core part of your business working, trading well. Yeah, that allows you then to experiment in some of the fringe areas, to try some things that are slightly different. And that's something we've been doing for years quite successfully. Don't always get it right. And then the market changes. So you have to respond very quickly, be prepared to fail, make some brave and innovative decisions. But you have to do that. That's what retail's all about. Always has, bro. I mean, I've been doing this for 42 years in retail now. Long time. Long time. So
since we are, you just mentioned that you've been in retail for 4 decades now. What have been some of those very challenging decisions that you've had to take?
I think over the years, in terms of the companies that I've worked for, I've been very, very fortunate in all the companies I've worked for have always had a mantra of change, innovation, and moving forward. And I always say to kind of people that ask for career, not that I'm very good at career advice with them, is sometimes I say, well, retailing is a bit like moving trains. You've got to make sure you're on the right train going in the right direction. And if you do that, then you can probably have a very strong career.
But it's not instinctive.
No, I think you have to read the market. I mean, I think you look out the window every day and you see all the brands that are in this market, for example. You kind of know which ones are okay and doing well and not. because some of the models are right for the time and some of them are not. So you've got the big super brands, whether it be in luxury or in mass market. If you're running a business over the years, then sometimes you have to make very, very difficult decisions. Close this, let these people go, restructure this, start again. It's okay, providing you're not bleeding cash. Then that gives you the opportunity to try those things.
Sure. How has it been at Liwa, staying with restructuring, staying with offloading some brands and then bringing some new concepts on board? How has it been the past, let's say, 12 months? And what does your pipeline look like? I mean, I know that it's exciting, but what are those big changes, incremental changes that you have in store for 2025?
Well, we definitely had to lose some of the things that just weren't working. And then, and obviously the dynamic on how some of the store P&Ls look has differed now because rentals are rising rapidly. We did some amazing deals in COVID. Our property team under Sanic did a great job. We did some amazing deals that then have come to the end of their life. So we had all that benefit. Right. And then, of course, you have to rebase. And if your rents go up significantly, then you have to work out whether that model then works in those locations. If they don't, you have to just think again. So you have to think about how you can reutilize that space or that particular brand. If that brand doesn't work in the new economic environment, then you have to think again about whether you keep it or whether you let it go or downsize it, which we've done some of that. We've downsized some of the brand spaces. But then you get on the front foot and you start thinking about, okay, back to my point earlier, you've got your core business that's doing okay. Then you have to think about where on earth you go next. And then you start to explore more. So our pipeline is very strong. I mean, we're talking to 12 or 13 brands at the moment. 3 are signed. And we're quite keen to do a few more.
13 new brands?
Talking to 13 doesn't mean say we'll do them all. But we've got those dialogues going on at the minute. And we're very clear about where we want to be and where we don't want to be. So this kind of niche businesses, and we won't overstretch ourselves. We'll just be very focused, trialing, seeing how things work, and then doing an organic rollout plan.
Sure.
You asked about what other things are going on. We're spending quite a lot on technology at the minute.
Yes.
So our chairman has set up a technology company within the group.
Okay.
So employing some very, very bright people, to work on various platforms that we need. So they're going to be working solely initially with Liwa, working in our digital space, revamping our own websites.
Okay.
So pure play and marketplace. So that's really exciting. And that kicks off on
at the front end and at the back.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because I think we launched e-commerce with zero budget. We did it all organically from operational cash flow. Now, people don't do that.
Tied in loyalty with
yes.
that.
Yeah. Because we launched the CRM programs and our own USRA campaigns and so on and so forth. So we now want to we're doing something a little bit different rather than with the ecosystem. Many companies have got bits from one provider and bits from another provider and bits from another provider. We want this seamless journey from the consumer, from the front right to the back end. And that means everything will talk to itself. So whether it be supply chain, logistics, CRM, buying, merchandising, it'll all be in the same ecosystem.
Wow.
So that's exciting, but that's a 3-year project.
Which has just started.
Yeah. We're underway.
Wow, owning your own technology stack, that's very, very exciting.
Yeah, it is. And it's a significant investment for us as well.
Certainly, it must be so.
So we started with buying and merchandising. We're using a company called Invent Analytics from Turkey. And we've been working with them for 18 months already.
Okay.
And they were literally switched on their systems about 3 months ago in terms of operational matters.
Okay.
And we're seeing some extremely positive results.
That's amazing.
Which is really good. So yeah, movement of inventory is better. Sort of sales on replenishment are better. Stock availability is better. So, and this thing obviously uses AI and it uses other methods to obviously generate the efficiencies. So it will get better over time. And they actually guarantee the difference with this business is they're guaranteeing us growth in sales. They say if we don't do that, then you don't have to pay us this. It's a really good model.
That's lovely.
Yes.
And Mark, very quickly before I move on to the next question, so your brand portfolio will probably stand at somewhere around 20 plus in 2025.
About that, yeah, about that. So some ups and some downs, but and I think some of it now will be having summer brands where we're just doing wholesale, or we're just doing e-commerce. It doesn't mean to say that we have to do physical stores and all the other channels. We don't. We're looking at opportunities. We're talking to one business that we haven't signed, for example, that it gives me access. If we sign that deal, which I'm very hopeful for, it will give us access to a marketplace.
Okay.
That I can get access to 800 brands, which will be a crazy deal. But that would, change our digital presence in the market. But what it also means is, of course, to do that, you've got to make sure that your technology can cope with it.
Absolutely.
And when we did the analysis, we realized it just wouldn't work. So you've got to wait, fix everything, and then you're in a position to move forward with a different,
I can't help asking. So far, we have a fair number of brands from Asia Pac as well, those regions. But we have like brands from the UK, American brands, Western European brands. They have traditionally dominated the landscape. Do you see that changing?
I do, yeah. So I think Asian brands coming this way. I mean, the deal that we've done with a manufacturer from the Far East,
yes,
we wouldn't have even looked at that 5-6 years ago. So you have to look at a different mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of it comes from economics. You've got to make sure that the models work. And the old. So it's one of the questions I'm always asking people in these potential deals. I'm saying, well, okay, tell me how much money you want to make. And now the people that tell you, you've got half a chance of doing a deal with. The people that don't tell you, and it's all close. Those days are long gone. Where everything's like,
yes, absolutely.
So we try and have a philosophy of an open book approach. So, if it works, it works. Then you can have a dialogue and build. If it doesn't work, and you don't know what's going on from your host and partner,
you can only do so much.
Very hard.
What are your thoughts on the new taxes that are slowly getting rolled out, implemented? UAE saw something new.
Yeah.
Oman is heading into something new. Bahrain too.
Yeah.
How do you see? Do you at all see consumption getting impacted and in turn business?
What's the phrase? There's two certainties: life, death, and taxes. That's what they say. I think we're very fortunate here in the taxation happens here in another means. I see it on my speeding fines, and that's a different time of version of taxation. Consumers are always going to adapt, and they'll adjust their spends accordingly with what they've got in their pockets to spend. So I think we've seen an element of where people have been trading down because school fees may well have gone up. Cost of living generally may well have gone up. I think those are the challenges. But the consumers adapt, and retailers adapt as well. So you have to look at pricing very carefully,
right?
And what you're doing, and you definitely can't overprice your products because the customer is becoming more and more and more savvy about value for money. I don't mean cheap; I mean value for money.
Yes.
So I think what we're trying to do across all our brand portfolio now is think about whether we've got correct pricing to still make a reasonable margin. I think that's important. But taxation is going to continue to keep coming. I think the elephant in the room is obviously personal income tax.
Yes.
That would be a game changer. That would be a game changer. I think people may well think differently. But at the minute, consumers, retailers and companies generally and groups are planning accordingly for tax and taking respective budgets.
Adapting. And with that, we head into my favorite segment of every interview, the retail rapid fire. Mark,
trick questions.
No tricky questions. No, very fun questions and easy. What comes to your mind when I say AI?
Now. Got to do it now.
Okay. You have navigated, as you said, you've been in retail for over 40 years. No 2 days look the same. What helps you to stay curious and relevant?
Every day is different. I mean, every day you come into the office or you go into a store. Stores are lively environments. And all the answers are generally in the stores. All the answers are in the stores. Because you see it. And I think reading a store is a skill, by the way. Trying to identify what's wrong, whether it be consumer, product, layout, the customer journey, all the answers are in the stores for that particular channel. They're in front of you. The skill is being able to see them, recognize them, and do something about it.
If you could take one item off your to-do list every day, what would that be? Yes.
Oh, signing documents. It's a pain. It's an absolute pain. I still get 5 folders a day at least of things to sign.
Absolutely. If there's one thing, if a CEO's toolkit exists, if a concept like that exists, what's that one thing that it must include?
Well, I'd like to predict the future, be able to see the future, obviously, make my life a lot easier. I run our business from a stock and trading perspective of 4 documents only.
Okay.
4 documents. I don't need anything else other than those 4 documents to give me insight on the total business.
And last question, do you have a hidden talent?
A hidden talent?
Yes, that nobody knows about.
Nobody knows about. I used to be a professional sportsman for a couple of years and years ago.
Oh.
And that was my chosen path in life. I wanted to be a sportsman.
I knew that.
You might well. I've spoken to you many times over the years. And it's been a fell into retail by accident. As a result of doing that. So it just a complete absence. And then over the years, think different. I mean, and I write. I like writing. So that's when I'm on these long plane journeys wherever. Then I write poetry quite a lot. It helps me relax, switch off, and sometimes those are quite nice things to be able to do.
So, Mark, thank you so much for joining me on RetailME. As always, pleasure chatting with you.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Okay.